Hey everybody, this is PJ Farley from Trixter and Fozzy, and you are watching Heavy Mental Breakdown.
PJ, thank you so much for coming on, man. I'm such a
Yes, thanks
big
for
fan.
well, I appreciate that.
I guess my first question is it's kind of a simple one at first, just for anybody who's not the most familiar with Trickster or Fozzy and PJ, what's kind of just a surface level what you've done in your longevity of being in the rock and roll space.
So what I've done, I'm sitting on a pretty good chunk of work here at
Yeah.
this point in my life. With almost 40 years of Trickster.
Yeah.
I was in a band called Raw for about 20 years. I did like a 4 year stint with Lita Ford. Uh, I've been playing with
Cool.
Eric. I've been playing with Eric Martin from Mr. Big for off and on for God, I guess it's almost going on 10 years.
Nice.
Um, I've been in Fozzy for the last 6 years.
That's so cool. I'm such a big WWF fan, but I
Yeah, yeah,
say WWF because that's when it was the best.
that's what
I
I was watching.
remember, yeah.
WWF.
Chris Jericho. He always went after my favorite wrestler, Triple H. But that's what made it fun. That's what made it fun. Okay.
So yeah, and speaking of Chris, me and Chris have an '80s Kiss tribute band called Quarantine, where we cover basically Bruce Kulick era Kiss songs, and kind of re-record that era and celebrate that era of the Kiss catalog.
Yeah.
And I also do an '80s tribute act called Rubik's Cube, which is a New York-based corporate and private event kind of band that is a national touring act in its own right, And then I write and record my own stuff and take that on the road, when I can find some time. So kind of doing
Yeah.
it all, man. Just being
Yeah.
a musician.
Yeah. What inspired you to kind of get into music? Was there something like, oh, I heard this, or this person inspired me, or kind of what was your relationship? What pushed you to living this kind of lifestyle?
I would definitely say Kiss was my
Okay.
earliest memory. Bay City Rollers, then right into Kiss, as far back as I can remember. And you know, from there it just spiraled, and
Yeah.
I never looked back. I got, you know, struck so hard by Kiss and just,
Yeah.
you know, thrown all into it that I couldn't get past it.
Now your Kiss cover band, you guys have played with them with Kiss before, right? Or you're going
Yeah,
to? Okay,
we
you have.
have,
Okay,
we
yeah.
have, we're going to again.
Yeah, I saw that. And that's on a cruise ship, right?
Technically, but no.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Kiss Cruise Landlocked. So it's basically Kiss used to have a cruise, and now they're not doing the cruise. They're doing what they would do on a cruise at the Virgin Hotel in Vegas. That's what we did last year with them, and that's what we're doing again this year with them.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, pretty
I got to
cool.
try to go to that sometime. That sounds like a lot of fun. I've never been on one of those like rock shows on a cruise before. I've always wanted to do that. There's so
Have you been
many
on a
of them
cruise?
now. I've
Have you
never
done?
even been on a cruise in my entire life.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Actually, I don't blame you because I didn't want to do them. I had no real interest, and then I had to do it because Jericho's got his own cruise, and once I
Mm.
joined Fozzy, we kind of headlined the ship. So, and then ironically, I did the Chris Jericho Rock and Rager at sea in 2020, and then
Oh, in 2020. What a
and then
wild time to do that.
yeah, and then 2 days later, I did Shiprock. So my first two cruises ever were in January, February 2020.
Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect timing then. You just made it. Did you hear any talks on the ship, like between bands or anything, like overhearing things and wondering what was going to
Oh,
happen with all the touring and everything?
so getting on the Jericho cruise, I didn't hear anything. once I got off of it and I had like 2 or 3 days in between cruises, I saw everything that was going on. I'm like, ah, you know what, maybe I'll get some gloves and masks and stuff just to kind of you, because I heard about cruise crud to begin with. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, let me buy this stuff just for shits and giggles. And boy, that valuable stuff by the time I got off that cruise.
What a wild time. You guys just made it in time. Just
Yeah.
made it in time. I ran a marathon, the LA marathon on March 8th was the marathon. And like literally like 4 days afterwards, it was just like, nope.
Literally, literally just finished the race and crossed the finish line, and then you got
Yeah.
yourself some rest after that.
Yeah. Yeah. People were like, because during marathons and stuff, like people like to pass out like Gatorades or apples or like bananas and stuff like that. And everyone was like, don't take the stuff from people this time. It was a wild. It was wild. It was wild. Well, one of the things I'm really excited about to chat with you is your longevity in music. When you guys first started with Trixter, that was in the 80s, correct?
Yes, we came
Yeah.
out, we were signed and our first record came out in 1990, but yeah, we were a band in
Okay.
the late 80s.
And you guys, the genre was considered glam rock, glam metal when in that scene. You guys kind of caught the tail end of that, right?
That whole era was the glam metal wave. It kind of took on
Yeah.
different, you know, um, forms, and by the time we caught on, it was more of just a kind of a hairband
Mhm.
thing, and we wore flannel shirts and kind of toned it down, kind of
Yeah.
kind of landed the glam plane and introduced, some might say we bridged the gap between glam and grunge.
Mm. Yeah. What a great time for music.
It was
I
a fun,
feel that transition from the 80s to the 90s was really smooth. And it like, I don't know. It just feels like it was a great time era
it
to
was
be.
fun, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So what was the scene like when you first got started? Obviously there's so many new bands coming out today, and bands who are still inspired by a lot of this, like the glam rock and from bands from the 80s. So there's a lot of bands coming out right now who grew up listening to you guys. What was kind of your introduction to the music scene? Was it
Uh,
what you thought it would be? Like kind of what was that? What was that first connection like?
you mean when we first came out?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of was what I expected. I mean, I had tunnel vision, everyone in the band did,
Right.
and we kind of just knew what we wanted. And as young as we were, it was kind of cocky, but it
Sure.
was confidence. And
Right,
I think
right.
it definitely played a part in our in our success, and the fact that we weren't gonna have it any other way.
Yeah,
Being that young and stupid, we were just crazy enough to believe it. And that's part of the process. That's part
right.
of the, you know, part of what gets you there. So when we got there, just take our first couple of tours, it happened. We went out on the road, boom, we get on a tour bus, we go out 2 weeks of headlining, then we get called to do the Striper tour. The Striper tour turned into Don Dokken tour, turned into Poison, turned into, Scorpions, turned into War. I mean, it was like boom,
Yeah, you were right in it.
right in it. And we wouldn't have it any other way. So
Yeah.
we weren't going to stop until we were playing arenas.
How old were you? You said you guys were really young when you started it. How like 18, 19-ish around there, or like when did you get started?
Our record came out, and I was 18,
Hmm.
so
Right out of high school.
right
Were
out of
you
high school.
Wow. You were just like, I know what I want to do, and
Yeah,
I'm going to do it. A lot of bands kind of, they start in high school and then it kind of takes a minute because people are still trying to figure out life, what that looks like, career and
uh,
family and
for,
travel and all the things that come along with that. Were you kind of excited? Like, I know, I bet you were excited, but as the years went on, did any of that kind of excitement and being right in it, did that ever get overwhelming for you, especially at that young age?
No, it didn't. And again, I think I attribute that to just youth and,
Yeah.
being so gung ho, that I wanted it all. So the more we got, I was like, bring it on, let's go. Like
Yeah.
a record deal, bring it on. Touring, let's go. Arenas,
Yeah.
let's go. Number one videos on MTV, let's go. Gold
Yeah.
records, bring it on.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. That's
wanted all
amazing.
of it.
Yeah. And
And
MTV days. Oh
right,
man.
I kind of expected it and I
Yeah.
wanted it, and it was like, had I been older, I think it would have been different because I would have been smart enough to realize, it might not happen,
Yeah.
and then I would have that doubt. But I think the fact that we were so young and driven, there was no alternative. It was success or bust.
Yeah.
So,
No, I love that.
you know,
I
it
felt like
definitely
you
helped.
manifested that in a way. You're like, it's going to happen because it has to happen.
Right.
This is
And
what I
again,
want to do.
the fact that we were that young, and we could take whatever risk
Yeah.
that was necessary. You know, it was a good combination. It all happened. Luck, ambition, talent. So, it's a whole mix, you know,
Yeah.
ball of wax there that it took, but it worked.
Yeah. How was your family and friends support? Like what were you hearing when you first started this? Were people telling you, "Hey, maybe you should go to college and get a real job?" I hear that a lot. I hear that all the time. You should like
No, I was too young for a real job, really. I
yeah,
mean, I
that's
was
yeah,
working.
yeah.
I always had a job though. From the time I'm like 11 years old, I was taking the bus to go, work in the summer. I had two paper routes. I always found a way to make a dollar. I was always
Yeah.
making money.
Always hustling. Still to today you're doing that. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, pretty much. My blue collar kind of, DNA.
Yeah.
It's always to just do what you do. I gather no moss, and I'm not afraid to work. So,
Yeah.
and I started really young. So, yeah, no, it happened so quickly that it was
Yeah.
no one there to say, you really should think about getting a job, because I had a job all the way up until I didn't need one at that point.
Mm. Were
So,
you still kind of working a full-time job when you got started in the band? Like, were you kind of doing both for a while?
part-time job because I was still in school. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I had
You had a lot
jobs.
going on.
Yeah, it was school, work, band, repeat,
Yeah.
repeat.
And I bet the part-time job was fun to get the band going. Doing what you need to get the band going and get
Yeah,
some of those first recordings done and all instruments, practice space, everything at a young
yeah,
age, going through all that.
yep, it helped.
Yeah. Um, so I love that you brought up MTV days because I was born 1990. So I kind of like when I was a teenager, like 13, it was kind of in the kind of they were kind of phasing out of the music. Like TRL was over, like VH1 wasn't really doing the
Yep.
pop-up music videos and stuff again. How was that like? Because right now, nostalgia is so huge. People love, going back to MTV days and watching it and listening and wearing t-shirts. Like I was at Target a couple days ago and I saw MTV t-shirts and a VH1 t-shirt and like that's huge right now. So coming from someone who experienced all that, how was that?
It was amazing to
Yeah.
be on, something you grew up watching, like, getting your video on MTV
Yeah.
was, that was the kind of the zenith of it all. It was like, you know, because when I was a kid, MTV was it. I remember
Yeah.
when it launched. I remember becoming as big as it became, and I remember seeing my video on it and going, "That's it. I mean, we made it.
We did
We're
it.
number one on TV, for weeks at a time.
That's
All of our
amazing.
videos are crushing it on MTV, and it's funny because the whole time we were on MTV, we were on tour the whole time. So
Mm.
every once in a while in a hotel, we'd catch it, or if we come home on break for a couple days, we would catch it. But I remember coming home and literally seeing our video every hour. I'm going,
Wow.
this is crazy. Like it was almost
Yeah.
not real because I'd get back on the bus, we go on tour, come home for a couple days, see our video. and I knew it was doing well based on the reaction, but it's not like I was sitting around all day watching TV and just seeing
Yeah.
myself.
That
But
would be fun though, just to have a whole day where you just chill and watch MTV and see how many times you pop.
you know what? I didn't even need a whole day to chill to see. It was like
Yeah,
literally
it was.
every hour. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was surreal. It wasn't
Yeah,
like it wasn't real. It
yeah,
didn't feel.
yeah. I bet. So as time went on, you were 18, 19 when you first started this. As the years went on, let's just say like early 30s almost, as after a decade of doing this, um, was it any different than how you first started, or did you kind of just have the same mindset moving forward?
Well, the same mindset. Yeah, it's still that.
Yeah.
It's still there, and it still is there.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that the mindset has never changed,
Mm,
it's evolved, but the origin and the purpose has never changed, which has led me to be here now talking to you, still being able to, kind of cross genres and kind of remain relevant and uh,
mhm.
be able to sit here, with, being in a band that has songs on the radio and, playing huge festivals like this week I just did Welcome to Rockville and Sonic Temple,
Yeah.
for
That's so
50,000
cool.
people, and then the
Yeah.
week before that, I was at M3 in Maryland with Trixter and, playing to that crowd. And it was, it's the fact that never taking your eye off the ball. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, that's the secret sauce, I think.
Yeah. So always having that mindset, and that's probably. I mean, that's why you've had the longevity you had. It's like you kind of have always have been this way with the music. You love it, and you can't really see yourself doing anything else.
Yeah.
And that's what, yeah, exactly. And that's what helps the longevity is just you can see it in people. You can see in their eyes when they talk about it. You can, see their energy on stage, and you're like, that person loves what they do, and they want to do nothing else.
Yeah. That's the telltale sign when you see somebody performing and, um, you could see if it's run its course for
Sure.
somebody.
Right.
And then other people, you go, still got it.
Yep. Still got it.
Hopefully people think that when they, see me perform, they see I get lost in it still,
Yeah.
and always trying to do better. And every show you want to do better, you want to play better, you want to sing better, you want to perform better. That's how I approach it. Going, all right, tomorrow we're going to do better than today.
Yeah. So with as many bands as you've worked with and still working with and all the touring, um, what would you say would be one or a couple of some of your biggest mental or physical challenges being able to have longevity like this? It definitely takes a lot out of you, out of your body, out of your mentals, and being away from family for so long. What are kind of some of the bigger things that you might feel would be helpful to explain to some of the younger bands on, just the mindset?
Well, I think for me, a big part of it that helped me kind of navigate through all this is the fact that I started so young and it's really all I know. And, I was, thrown into this world at a time where I was, living in, my bedroom that I grew up in, and then uh, all I know is touring and playing in bands and making music and playing music. So, from a mental standpoint, that helps because I've learned to compartmentalize like a way of life, and learn how to learn that I learned that balance early on. So where like when I started out, I had nothing. I had no money, no rent, no car, no fucking nothing. I was traveling the world with my friends.
Yeah.
I was just living the life.
You had a dream.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, that was full on the definition of the dream,
Yeah.
And as I get older, you start getting relationships, you start having family,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. If you had a
You know,
family, any kids of yourself or anything? Oh, you
and
do.
you just
Okay.
have that, like I said, compartmentalized.
Yeah.
It is separating. You have a separate life. And although that sounds really bad, especially when you're talking to your family, like, well, you have a whole other life. It's like, I do,
It kind
but
of is.
it
Yeah,
it
it is.
definitely is. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
different, I have a whole different perception on life than just here
Mm,
in the house, and
yeah.
in this world. And it's an odd thing. It's not a bad thing. And if you can manage it properly, it is manageable.
Hmm.
Uh, it takes a lot of work. There's a lot more um, kind of mental and emotional baggage, that you have to manipulate and kind of sift through to make it
Hmm.
work. But it is manageable as long as you keep your head on your shoulders, you keep your head on straight, and you try to make as many good decisions as possible. And for doing it as long as I have, I always try to remain, healthy,
Yeah.
and luckily traveling for a lifetime. Yeah, and I think that, and with good genes, I've, knock on wood, had a really good immune system, but also,
Nice.
I don't abuse it, and I try to take care of myself, physically, and as from a dietary
Yeah,
standpoint,
yeah,
as much
exactly.
as
I was going to
possible.
ask about the physical because when you're on the road, sometimes it's not the easiest, right? To be able to get a healthy meal and,
Yeah.
something that's going to be good for your body. So I can
Yeah, you,
see
you got
that.
to adjust. You have to adjust, and you have to,
Yeah.
choose accordingly, choose wisely, and but it's all possible. I mean, I'm living
Yeah.
proof, to
Yeah.
be sitting here after almost 40 years of doing it, um, it's possible. But like I said, you have to learn those things first and foremost mentally,
Yeah.
and learn to adjust, manage those two kind of lifestyles, give them both. It's not like 50-50. It's 100 on 100.
Yeah.
You go on the road, you're giving 100%. You come home, you have to give 100%. You can't split it. Can't give half, because for one, they both deserve 100.
Hmm.
So that just makes you work that much harder.
Yeah. So when you're on a tour and there's, 30 dates or whatever it is, when you're about halfway through, Uh, how do you feel physically? Are there things that you do? Do you get massages? Do you see a chiropractor, or is it kind of just yeah, how do you maintain your physical when you're kind of giving 100% every single night?
Again, just try to stay in shape. I go to the gym regularly, and
Okay.
even on the road, I go to the
Yeah.
hotel gym, or we go to, we stop at, a Planet Fitness. The bus will park at Planet Fitness every day, and we'll go in and get to work out and shower, and
So
just
I was
get.
just gonna say take a shower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but even if I get, like, I go to the gym every day, but I'm not
Oh,
a gym
cool.
rat. I'm not there for hours. I literally need a half hour, 45 minutes, and it just wonders for you mentally,
Yeah,
you know.
it really
You know,
does.
it helps, physically, but again, I'm not there, you know, killing it at the gym. I'm there more importantly for the mental aspect, and
Mm,
um, something to focus on other than music for a little bit
definitely. You kind
day.
of need that separation every once in a while.
Yeah, it just takes your mind off the music,
Yeah.
off your phone, off of the bullshit, and just, kind of get in a different zone. So for
Yeah.
me, that's why I do it every day.
Are
Um,
you listening to music when you're exercising?
nope, I
No,
can't.
not even just listening to. Okay, yeah,
I
completely
can't do it.
separating
It's
yourself
the
from
weirdest
it.
thing. People, like, I see literally everyone wearing headphones. Like, I
Yeah,
wish that's a good time to listen to music. I can't.
yeah.
My problem is that I get too focused on music that I forget what I'm doing, and I'm not paying attention. If I'm
Okay.
lifting weights, I just get caught up, and I'll hurt myself.
It'll get
I'll
you
do
too
a
hyped
movement.
up.
Yeah, I'll just do a movement wrong or something. And especially at
Yeah,
my age, it only takes one slip of the slip,
sure.
the arm, and
Yeah.
one sneeze or one zone out moment, and you're, you're twisting your arm or something like that. And so
Yeah.
I can't listen to music while I'm at the gym.
Interesting. And you were saying without your phone, because I mean that's the thing too. If you're listening to music, you're on your phone too. And
Yeah,
you're kind of disassociated from what you're doing. So you're like keeping track. I know for me, there's been times where like I'm choosing my music and then I have notes on my phone. I'm like, okay, today I did this, today I did that. But then I just kind of get stuck in it sometimes. I'm like, no, 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 you're here to work out. Like, do
exactly.
that.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong. I'm just like anyone else. I have my phone on me, and
Yeah.
but for that time, I'm focused on, I have a mission here. Like this is
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Or like check email or a text or something. Yes, I will. But
Yeah.
I'm not listening to music. I'm not just scrolling, whatnot. I'm there to get away from that for a little bit, and kind of get the mind straight, and then
Yeah.
face. You know.
One thing that I love about how you brought up the phone is when you first started, there was no social media. There was no MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, none of it.
Right.
When you saw that transition going from, we're playing shows and that's how people find out about us, buy the record, come see us, and now it's people are going to your Instagram accounts to find out about you, and artists are kind of needing to keep up a social media presence to kind of keep the bands going.
Yeah.
And social media is a mental health issue just on its own of just needing to be not even 100% while writing, recording, practicing, but keeping the momentum up in the pages. How was that transition for you mentally? Like, did that throw you guys off? Did it kind of come naturally? Like, what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, it's a struggle to be honest with you. It really is.
Yeah.
For guys in our genre or our age group, I guess, that have been doing it. Um, it wasn't the way we started doing it. So, it's the old thing, teaching an old dog new tricks. Um, yeah, of course I embraced it. Um, but it's not as easy for a guy like me to just sit there and get the phone out and start filming yourself and talking to everybody.
Yeah.
It's
Putting the
unnatural.
captions on it, making sure it's 10 seconds. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not natural for me.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is natural for a lot of people out there. I see a lot of people and I go, man, I wish I had it. I just can't
Yeah.
do it. I can't. I'm
Yeah.
just that comfortable talking to
I think
people.
everybody has, their own struggle with it. Like, for example, how many likes you get, how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
What's that ratio from like
And that's
followers
very
to,
evil. It is, but you know, any musician out there is there to build a fan base, and that's the only way to do it nowadays. There's
yeah,
no magazines, there's no MTV, there's
yeah,
no, there's not a lot of support out there. You have to literally do it all.
right.
And, I mean, it's asking a lot of a musician. It really is,
Yeah.
especially a musician who comes from a different era.
Yeah.
You know, the new guys, the younger guys are like, all right, I got it. Their checklist is longer than ours was when we came out.
Right.
So for them, they just have another page to check off.
Right.
For us, we have another page to check off, but we got to learn how to do it, and we got to get comfortable doing it. It's got to be believable. It's a, it's a real thing for guys in our age group.
Yeah. I'm still kind of learning how to do it too, like on a professional level, like with the
Yeah,
podcast. Like I've had social media back from, MySpace, but like when you're doing it as like a company and like a social media presence, it's a whole different world, from just
sure.
posting pictures of yourself every once in a while. Do you think that the social media wave helped you guys get more exposure and bring on more fans? And do you think it helped it, or it was just kind of another level of what you guys were doing?
It depends on what band you're referring
Trick.
to.
Let's go with Trickster.
I'm a trick interview because like, okay, well, you
Yeah.
have
No, I know.
Exhibit A, then you have, um,
Yeah. Well, then that's a great question. How have you seen the success with social media from Trickster to Fozzy that was a little bit more that was, definitely in the social media time era?
um, well, for instance, with Trickster, what I'm seeing is, especially over the last like 2 years or so, I'm seeing the younger generation come to shows that um, aren't there with their parents because their parents brought them,
Yeah, I'm seeing a
and it's
lot of that.
confusing for me. Like I'm used to seeing kids that shows they're there with their parents because their parents want to see us, and they brought their little kids. Now I'm just seeing kids that are look like I did when I was 18, and I'm like, wow, this isn't ironic. This isn't a
Yeah.
kid just coming as a as a joke or like, oh, let's go see this old band Trixter. It's like
Yeah.
they're discovering us
Yeah.
on social media and on
Yeah.
the internet, and they're just because that's all kids can do is discover their own music now. It's not spoon fed anymore. So
Yeah.
um, they're just stumbling upon us on their own, kind of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unique to see, and so it has helped us in that sense. Um,
Yeah.
and you got a band like Fozzy that certainly grew up in more towards a social media era. I mean, the band's still been together 25 years, but
Yeah.
um, still, um, social media helped grow for sure that band.
Yeah. Um, One thing that I love that you said is that bands are having to do it all now. And that is a constant mental struggle with new bands that are coming out because you have to have rails, you have to have, quality content, you have to be consistent with it. A lot of people are going like the singles route now instead of the album or the whole CD route because you can get 12 songs out, but that's going to take you a while. And then by then, people kind of just are, looking for things, or they're kind of like, okay, well, they're not really doing much. So
Again,
there's, yeah,
it's another thing we have to guys in in my age have to wrap our heads around. That
right.
new model of releasing records. Like, there's no record. What?
Yeah, yeah,
You
there's a lot of that going on
craft the
now.
concept. It doesn't belong to anything. It's just a
Right.
song. It's like going back to the 40s and 50s. We're gonna put your record out, kid, and that means you're gonna put one song out. And
Yeah.
so foreign to bands like us, where we're like, it's got to be attached to something. It's got to be a bigger
Yeah.
purpose than just trying to get on someone's playlist.
Right.
It seems so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different time.
Yeah,
So you were talking about family. You said you have kids?
I do have two teenage daughters.
Oh, okay. Okay. And are you married?
I am.
You are. Okay. So when you have to go away on tour and you're away from your kids
Mhm.
and you're away from your wife, I'm sure that definitely plays a role in your mental health. Well, when you're away for so long. I know you were saying that you've been doing this forever and you balance it out. But when you first started, I'm sure the family's adjusted to it now, but when you first started, how was that like for you? Like when your kids were growing up, needing to be there, what was that mental state like for you, doing what you love, but also having to balance out family now and
Right.
that whole aspect of it?
Yeah, it was. I kind of had the best of both worlds when they were younger. Because there was a time when I wasn't going away for long periods of time. I was doing weekend warrior, kind of fly out on a Thursday, be back on Sunday. Still playing locally and not being home and stuff. But um, I think they were so young. They grew up. Like I was saying this to somebody the other day. Like I never had that moment where the kids cried for me to stay. They didn't want me to go because they just grew up in it. They just know,
Yeah.
oh, daddy's going to work. Okay. And they would see a plane and they go, daddy. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
it was just part of life for them. I mean, it was never that
Yeah.
thing where, I was being taken away from them. So, and I always said, thank God, because that would have destroyed me, having to, every
Mm,
time I left the house, had to sit there and, tell my crying children that daddy's
right.
going to, I'll be back, So, I'm so thankful I didn't have to deal with that, and they just kind of, knew that that was the deal, and knew I
Hmm.
would be back.
Yeah.
So
He
that
leaves, but he always comes back.
that's right.
And with gifts. Do you
Like it
do
or
you, do
not,
you
I'm
bring do
coming
you
back.
do you bring stuff back from tours in different cities? Do you ever do you
Oh my
collect
God.
anything from where you go?
Everywhere I went, I was doing the snow globe. So every
Cool.
airport. I get snow globes, so they all have, they both have, 100 snow globes
Yeah.
collecting dust now in the attic. But it was, the ones that survived, I should
Yeah.
say.
What a cool keepsake, though. Like my dad went here, 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 here,
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
How has traveling and experiencing so much? Because I know for me, whenever I travel, even if it's just to a different state, I'm like, man, it's so cool to see different sides. And especially when I go out of country, like to London or Berlin, it's just so different. And you learn so much about the world and different cultures. What has that done for you and your music? Has that played a role in like in the playing music on in like wanting to go to other places, wanting to go back to here, and just knowledge of the world?
Yeah, I mean, every time I go overseas, it's yeah, it's always fresh and exciting. It's
Yeah.
it could partly I think because I didn't even start going overseas until later in my career. Trixter was so busy and so popular in the States that we never went. We went to Japan, and Canada and like Mexico, but we never went to the UK or Australia or you know anywhere in Europe. So I never really started going until I was in my you know late 30s, early 40s.
Mm,
So it was and I think it's I don't have a problem with that because I think I appreciated it more when I did start going. Like I could really
yeah.
kind of absorb it more, and it kind of it doesn't get lost on me. Whereas if I was young and just on top of the world going over there, you know, it's easy to have it get lost on you. But now
Yeah.
I go there, I get off the bus every morning, I go for a walk, and I go, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite parts.
Do you ever bring your family with you on tours?
No, I don't bring them on tour because, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's a lot for anybody. But they come out. Like if I'm local, you
Right.
know, they'll come out within driving distance, come out for a day.
Yeah.
Um, that's a tall order though to bring the fam to work.
So speaking of family, how do your kids or and your wife and just like, parents or cousins or anything, how do they when they see all the things you're doing, like it's always the goal to like your parents are your number one inspirations and you look up to the things you're doing. I know that's how at least I was. Are your kids wanting to play music? Do they kind of want to follow in your footsteps?
My youngest does. My youngest has a real interest in it. She's experimenting. I've got the drum set, got the
Oh, cool.
keyboard, guitar, got, you know, she's into singing and performing now.
Yeah.
Ironically, she's the shy one of the family. So in there lies the rub.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got a little bit of the bug, and
Cool.
and my oldest is extremely artistic, uh, kind of an artist. She draws amazing, paints, and she has she's got the gift. She's got like perfect pitch, and but she's got no real interest in singing or playing. But I mean, she can do it like that.
Hmm.
Um, so
Maybe a special guest on a Fozzy song sometime.
you know, she would turn me down.
Oh, yeah. You
Go,
think so?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, Trixter is from New Jersey, correct?
Hmm.
When you were playing in local shows and you first got started in the scene and then traveling to like Japan and now these other countries, how has that been for you kind of seeing that you're known everywhere? Like you can go somewhere and fans will come out and see you no matter where you're at. So when you started off on just the indie local band scene to what you're doing now, how was that for you?
I mean, I have, I think one of the things that also I try to make very clear and present is that I am so appreciative that I get to do this for a living, and anybody comes to see me play. Like whether
Yeah.
it's 10 or 100, or I get to play in front of 50,000 people, doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to get the same show whether there's 10 or 10,000. And
Yeah.
it's just because it's an amazing gift, and like you said, to be able to go to Japan, or, we've gone to Guam, I've been to, Europe and UK, and to be able to go, even just in the States, to be able to go
Sure. Yeah.
anywhere in this country, and I can go somewhere and someone's going to come see me play is amazing.
I can't even imagine that feeling.
To
That's
this
wild.
day, to this day, I still go, people coming to see me play, and
Yeah.
again, whether it's a dozen or a couple hundred or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's to have something to offer, to make somebody come out of their house, spend their money, and spend their time, which is the
Right.
most valuable thing,
Right.
with you, because of something you're doing, is an amazing gift. And uh, that is 1,000,000% clear and present in my, perception all the
Yeah.
time. Never, I don't take that for granted at any point.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that definitely it it makes me aware every time I go out on tour, no matter where I am, and I see people there. I go, God damn, did it again.
Yeah. Um, so for me, um, the reason why I'm actually still here, just on this earth, is because of music. I was at a very, very low spot, and I attempted my life, and I'm very glad that it didn't work. But I remember getting out of the hospital, and the first thing I did was put on Hyper Theory by Linkin Park. And I just remember just like, I want to get everything that I just experienced out of my head for a little while. I want to be here with the music. And it was at that moment that I realized I'm like, this is the effect of music.
Yeah,
These artists, I'm sure they all understand, but when you're in that moment and you're just like relying on music and lyrics specifically to connect to you and to keep you going is one of the strongest things in the entire world. Like music and rock and shows, it's all so much fun, MTV, but when you really dive into the lives of the people who are creating this art and this life-saving music for you, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So my question for you is, what has your experience been like, people coming up to you about your music and what it's done for them personally?
yeah. It's funny that you say that, because like for an artist that has somebody coming up to them saying your music saved my life, you hear that and it doesn't register like, oh yes, kiss the hand, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You it's just the opposite. You hear it and you take it with a grain of salt, and kind of in the sense that you don't buy your own bullshit, in the sense that, like, the power of it, because take me for instance, I know how music makes me feel.
Hmm.
So I know the power is there. But when somebody says it to me, uh,
Right.
you know, I can't relate that. You mean something that I'm a part of means as much to you as something that, say, the Beatles does for me? What? That's crazy. I don't
Hmm.
believe that. So we
Yeah.
kind of don't believe it, but we understand the concept of it,
Yeah.
but we don't let it go. Um, but it's amazing to hear, and you kind of file it away, and you go, wow, that
Mm.
person really said that, our music touched them and saved them or something. And
Yeah.
like with Fozzy, we got a letter the other day from somebody from France who wrote a letter and mailed it to somebody who's coming to our show in the US, and gave it to us and said basically that, how Fozzy's music saved her life.
Wow.
And like literally, it was a really touching letter. And
Yeah.
um, it's stuff like that when you read, you go, okay, yeah, that's one of those moments where it takes on a different, just people screaming and
Yeah.
want an autograph and a picture, and
It's
you see a
personal at
bunch of,
that point.
yeah, you see a bunch of happy people, and that's great. We're having a great time. But when you read a letter like that and you go, oh, okay, yeah, I mean that's it landed a little bit more, you know, but
Yeah.
you know every time you hear that, it's hard to put yourself in that person's shoes and go, like, because I know what, you know, whatever song, whatever my favorite song is, or something that I listen to when, I'm in need. And I go, that's the power, power of the music, So it exists, it's a real thing, it's magic. It
Hmm.
certainly is magic.
It's
The way
magic. I love that. Yeah.
the way it's delivered to an artist and it comes out through the artist, um, to the way it affects the listener and the connection that it establishes is all magic.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why it is such a powerful force. And curious to see what you know the AI situation is going to have on it. I don't
Yeah.
think the magic is going to be there. Sonically,
Uh,
it'll help. The 5 p.m. Drive home listeners. Just want to hear a little ear candy and stuff. It'll help that
yeah.
fill that kind of pop music void, but it's not going to have. It's not going to build the connection. It's
Yeah.
not going to have that magic.
Yeah. We're seeing a whole new era coming.
Yeah.
It is. And you're still playing music. So it's just like you are seeing all of this.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm ducking
Yeah.
everything that's coming at me. Huh?
Yeah.
Like George Bush with a shoe coming.
That's funny.
That's all musicians nowadays. With a
Yeah.
shoe. What else? Look, we
What
gotta
else?
we gotta write the music, we gotta make the music, we gotta fucking record it. We gotta pay for it. We have to manufacture it. We have to sell it. We have to take it on tour and play it. We gotta promote it. We have to fight robots. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, man. What else are you
Yeah.
doing to us?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So with all the heaviness and life-saving magic that music does for the fans, does that ever bring any pressure to what you're doing? Do you ever feel like, okay, I'm having this effect, so I got to keep doing what I'm doing, or should I try to do things more of in a helping way or anything like that? Like, did that change anything once you started to realize the effect that you're having on people's lives?
no, I think if you do, then you're gonna get in the way. You're gonna get in your own way. I
Sure.
think if that's just like you're asking for trouble, if you start going, well, you know, if they're expecting this, or you know, then I have to do like that
Yeah.
to continue, because what an artist has done before affected people, not knowing that they were gonna be affected like that.
True. You
So
never know what's going to hit with
exactly,
somebody. Yeah.
you have to maintain a pure um, sense of creativity and do it for the right reasons. There's no way to predict, there's no kind of handbook, so to speak.
Right.
But you can write a song that checks all the boxes, and just going back to AI, you can probably make a song that fucking sounds amazing, but it means nothing.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's got nothing. There's no story behind it. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
You have to. So for me personally, I don't think about anything um, purpose driven, really, in the sense for anyone else. I do it for myself, and I think that's the purest way to do it. Because you can't control anything else. You can't
Yeah.
control the outcome of it.
Yeah.
You can think you can. You can go, well, this course isn't big enough. Well, who says who?
Right.
Says who? I mean, there is no predicting. There is no formula. You can think there is, and you might get lucky, but there's no formula. The only thing you can do is really just put, a pure sense of yourself and creativity into it. This way, you satisfy yourself first because
That's important. That's the most important thing. You got to love it, and it's
you
got to
do
be
it in the
you.
first, it's the reason you do it in the first place. Because I
Yeah.
mean, otherwise it's just fucking making pizza. Really. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
True.
It sounds like bullshit otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a really weird time with AI. I love that you brought that up because we talk about needing a balance, and I feel like um especially now we need to have a balance of okay, a lot of jobs are being taken away by AI, not just music, but just like tech jobs and marketing jobs and all kinds of things. So people are having to adapt. Look at okay, I like feeling like they have to learn AI and they have to do these things in order to keep up with
Yeah.
work and being able to afford things and but there's also this huge nostalgic era right now we're going through like the festivals when we were young fest people just want to go and hear some early 2000s emo music and just forget about AI forget about all that so there is that balance right now of wanting that nostalgic feeling but
Well,
also having to adapt to what's going on and almost being
yeah.
forced we're being kind of forced to learn this which is weird.
Well, that's because it's coming so fast.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a tsunami of, you know, technology coming our way and so much to navigate and to um better word is regulate. The regulations is the real issue here.
Yeah.
It's come so fast. There are virtually no regulations. There's no rules. So everything is just um, at risk right now.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get the guidelines and the regulations under control. But the problem is it all happens so fast.
Yeah. It
With
came
every
too fast to adapt
yeah,
to
it's like
to
all of a
adapt to
sudden
it. And it's changing every day almost.
right. But we got to get that shit regulated because
Yeah,
it's going to cause a lot of problems.
it
And
is.
we'll
It
get it.
already is.
I mean, knock on wood. Hopefully, yeah, exactly. It is causing a lot of problems. So, um, but I believe that it will get situated, and you know, it's helpful. There's no question about it. It's helpful, and it's going to help, but it's gotta be maintained properly.
Yeah. Well, I have two more questions left for you, and it's I from everything I've learned from you so far, I already know the answer to these two things, but I would love to hear your perspective on it. Um, what advice would you have for new bands out right now? Um, to be able to adapt to new things and have longevity like you have had like what is kind of those first like steps to, I know for you it's about I love the music I can't see myself doing anything else you have to really love what you're doing but just for advice for new bands to be able to do the same things that maybe you're doing but just at a newer generation level are there just kind of bare minimum things that you can give advice on.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, I almost want to say I have no advice for you guys. Like, I don't know where,
Yeah,
a
to even
band
start.
goes to
Yeah.
start for. So, I mean, when I was starting out, there was such thing as, longevity. It's like, oh, we're going to be a band forever. There's, we get a record deal, there's a pot of gold at the end of the record deal. Your first step, boom, you got money. You go on tour, boom, you get money. There's money, there's longevity, there's record deals, there's support systems. Now there's fucking none of it. So,
Hmm.
in that respect, I don't know what to tell you. So I'll give you the easiest piece of advice is kind of what I said before. Do it because you have to do it and you need to get it out and you love to do it.
Yeah.
And then really just work hard at whatever you can do, and that means all of it. It means learn all the technology, work hard at the craft, work hard at promoting, work on, your image too. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
a
That's
lot of
huge.
the image of a band says a lot about the band.
Like Kiss.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I
Yeah.
come from. Maybe it's the old
Yeah.
doggy in me
Yeah.
talking, but I mean,
No,
because
it's true. It's definitely true.
problem is there's not a lot of profile now because in my day we needed to have an image because we're on television, we're on
Mm,
covers of magazines,
yeah.
we're on, arenas, we're everywhere, you know, we're a story, we're characters in a story, not just a band. Now it's just like you're just a fucking song on a playlist. Couldn't spot you in a lineup, couldn't pick you out of a lineup,
Yeah.
nor do I even care to. I mean, so what's gonna,
Mm.
you know,
Do I
but
even care to? I
right.
like that.
So what you
I like
can
that
do
a lot.
is create a kind of story around the band too. Don't neglect the fact that nobody can see you. You know, take care of yourself. Try to be as presentable as you can. To show some respect for the people who you're trying to attract.
Right.
And
Yeah.
make it interesting. Make yourself interesting. Make your band interesting. Um, to help combat that just being a playlist band. Because if you're just a playlist band, you're fucked. You're
Mm.
fucked. You're not going to put anyone in the seats. No one's going to give a shit because you're
You
just a.
might have 1,000 you might have 1,000,000 followers, but
You know how
who's
many
going to
bands
the
are out there
show?
with millions of Spotify
Yeah.
listeners that can't play a club?
Right. Right.
No one's going to care because you're just a song on a playlist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. You're not interesting. So don't neglect being a band.
Yeah.
If even if you're just a songwriter, be interesting. Tell a story. And you have to do that on your social media. Build your social media and make it interesting. Um, that's important, and I think so much of it went to the wayside. People look like shit. People don't put any attention into the detail of it
Yeah.
because it's not in the forefront. It's all about getting those, getting on a playlist and getting, likes and whatever. Um, but, I'd like to see some of that old mentality come back.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it. Starting to see some of the young bands, kind of get out there and really, kind of look cool and put on a
Yeah.
show. You know,
Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean,
I
look at Youngblood, man. He's an old soul. He's a rock star. He's interesting.
yeah.
If he was just a song on a playlist, he would not be who he is.
Right.
He's a character, he's a rock star, and it's just what the world needs, man. And
Yeah.
so be interesting.
Yeah, I love that point of view, and I haven't really thought about that too much. But after you said that, I'm like, that's exactly what that's exactly how I felt when I was a teenager. What got me into playing music and dressing the way I did, my favorite band when I was in high school was Avenged Sevenfold, and in 2005 they put out City of Evil, and they came out with this like newer look. They were like covered in tattoos, wearing the aviator
Yeah,
shades and the cut gloves and stuff, and I'm like, man, these are rock stars.
yeah.
They are dressed cool. They got tattoos. They're wearing. I went to school like that. I went to school wearing like the fingerless gloves, and I
What I
worked at
always
Hot
say,
Topic.
I always equate it to, I always relate it to a book. A band is like a book, and
Mm,
bands were
like a
still big in
book.
our day because we had magazines, MTV, we had all these avenues to present the band and the characters in the band, and tell the story, which made people connect with the band because they knew more about it. They knew more about us, oh, open Metal Edge magazine. Oh, who's PJ hanging out with? Oh, there's a picture of, so and so hanging out with so and so, and oh, who got into a fight, and you know, there's a story there. So
Yeah.
the audience connected. When you read a book, if the characters are well developed, you connect with the character. You're going to really, be engaged in the book, and you're going to want to read the second one with the same characters, and you're going to follow that book series,
Yeah.
and you're going to want to be all part of that culture of the people who follow those characters. It becomes bigger than just a song, bigger than just a
Right.
storyline.
Bigger than, yeah. I remember I saw Avenge at a super small club in San Francisco in like 2004 or something like that. and I knew they were going to be like they had just got off a Warp Tour, and I had met them at Warp Tour that same summer, but they played this show in San Francisco at a very small venue, and I just remember like looking up at them at awe. I'm like, these guys are bigger than life right now.
Right. And
I
they,
wanted that. That inspired me to play
fun.
guitar.
Yeah, it's part of the magic, especially for rock and roll, man. Rock and roll is, you know, just as profound and um, effective as any other um, type of music that maybe isn't as flamboyant and outrageous. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't present yourself in a big fashion. I think people
Yeah.
want something to not only listen to take their mind off things, but if the visual can coincide, it makes it larger than life. And we love things that are larger than life. I grew up on Star Wars and Kiss. Those two things were boom, that was
Yeah.
my world.
Yeah.
Larger than life. It took me out of the reality. And that's
Yeah.
what music is supposed to do,
Yeah. It was your
all
escape.
senses. Right.
Hmm. I like that. All right. Well, my final question for you, and I already know the answer, but I would love to hear it. Um, was it all worth it, PJ? Looking back on everything you've done today and still doing, when you look back at all of it, would you say that it was all worth it for you?
Million percent without
Yeah.
hesitation.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had done something else, maybe I don't know, could I have made more money? Sure. Could I have, you know, God knows what I could have done. I couldn't tell you what I would have done
Yeah.
because
There was no other option.
I never thought of anything else. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have no regrets. I mean, I think first of all, I'm not a guy that collects stuff, so I don't have stuff. I don't need anything.
You don't have any Star Wars figures around?
I got my original Darth Vader case
Okay,
full,
good.
doubled up and everything. I got that. That's not going anywhere. But other than that, like everything I have ever wanted or needed was experience, you know, or creativity, something I wanted to play or be a part of or
Yeah.
experience. That is the real shit for me. It's not like, oh, look, check out this new TV I got or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't need things, it's
Yeah.
just stuff. And even guitars, like I have them, but I don't collect them. I have one that I have a bass that I use a lot, and I have a guitar that I like to write on. And I don't have a million because I don't need it.
Yeah.
I want to focus.
I don't need it.
I like to clear the hard drive and not
Yeah.
clutter. I can open to experiences and you know other things more
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. You definitely seem like you just love life and you are in the moment and you're like, I don't need all these things to be happy. I have my family, I have my kids, I have my wife, I have my bands, I have what I love, and that's
Yeah.
good. That's good enough for me.
I definitely have enough. I got more than a guy should, and yeah. I mean, um,
Yeah.
it definitely keeps you occupied and preoccupied to a fault. My wife will tell you that.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's part of the price that
Yeah.
I pay as a person.
Well, you talk about not collecting things, but I see a pretty awesome collection of stuff behind you there, of gold records behind you there.
And there was stuff that
You're getting a collection there.
stuff they gave to me that
Yeah, that's
hanging up
cool.
on the wall.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing.
I'll keep that
Um,
stuff.
absolutely. I think PJ, you are an amazing example of having no other option. And I think when people create backup plans,
That's the
that's
truth.
kind of it's kind of self-sabotaging in a way
Yeah,
because you start to see, okay, if this doesn't work out, then I can go and do this. But if you get into what you love and you're like, this is going to work because it has to,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's
then because that makes you adapt later, you're like, okay, I'm not a fan of this, adapting every 10 years or whatever, but I'm going to
yeah,
because it's worth it to me.
yep. I mean,
That's
that's what you
amazing.
got to do. And the like I said, the blue collar DNA in me is work. Got to
Yeah.
work at it.
Yeah. I do this podcast because I feel like I have to. You know, music did so much for me. It saved my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I created this. I'm just like, people need to be hearing from people that they look up to and admire, because that's what I did when I needed it. I needed to hear stories like this from people who know, because we do put bands and artists on a platform, and we forget sometimes that they are human too.
Yeah.
They go through mental struggles. They're away from family. It's not as easy and glamorous as it might look. And not easy, but it's
And
just
the way
like,
it's supposed to be portrayed,
right,
I mean,
exactly.
we have to
Exactly.
walk that fine line to where, okay, we have to keep appearances and make it look how glamorous our life is. Everything's awesome and we're bigger than we really are. And then you go, okay, well, I got to put brakes on my car this week. And shit,
Hmm.
there's another expense. And the reality of life kicks in too. So
Yeah.
there's that balance that makes it interesting. How do you project this bigger than life image? You have your social media, but you also want to be able to say, hey, I'm also a real person too, and you know
Yeah.
life is life.
I like how you said it's interesting.
Yeah.
You got to keep it interesting. That's what keeps you going.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of just like
I
these,
think
just like these era ships. It keeps things in, even though you might not like them and it might be foreign, it keeps it interesting.
yeah, it definitely does, and it's that's, I guess that's the one good thing about the internet, and finding that balance of a band, like I said, where I just posted, a picture of me playing in front of literally like 30 or 40,000 people last week. And then, after this interview, I'm going to go power wash my property.
Yeah.
If
We
the new,
all, yeah.
if the new power washer I just ordered arrives today, because I had to throw my old one out yesterday because it didn't work. All right. So that's where I'm at today.
There you
Last
go.
week, last week I was having a great fucking time at a festival.
Are you guys playing Aftershock this year by any chance?
No, nothing. No.
No? Okay. Man. What's your next festival? What's
Um,
your next big thing you guys got? I know you're doing a Trixter show. It's like a reunion show, right? It's something like that. You guys are
uh,
doing one in
I don't see that.
Minnesota.
Yeah, we have in Minnesota. Yeah, we do this show in Winona, Minnesota. It's
Yeah.
kind of become this tradition where
Yeah. Tradition.
yeah, I mean it's just I say that because we've been back there around the same time every year. Uh, so it's just a cool small little
Yeah.
town
Cool.
on the
Yeah.
Old Miss, and we have a great time
Yeah.
there. So,
That's so cool.
yeah, and then we have a couple festivals here and there. So yeah, I mean that's all over the place. We do stuff like Winona, and then we'll go do like we have a festival in Connecticut coming up in July, and
Oh, cool.
you know,
That's not too far from me. I might show up.
yeah,
I might
yeah.
go. I want to go. Is it with Trickster or is it with Fozzy?
Trickster, it's Trickster, Vixen, and Starship, I think.
Has Fozzy ever opened up for Trickster?
No,
That would be cool.
no, might happen. I mean, I should say not yet.
That would be so cool. Um, you sparked one more question, and if you don't mind, I got one more question for you, and it's a fun one. With all the bands that you've been a part of, and the rock stars that you've met and really get along with, and you've been on tours or you've seen them at festivals, what's one band that you would love to play with one day that's not Kiss, that you think you would be fun to kind of jump in for a tour or something, or play a role in?
I think Foo Fighters.
That's a great choice.
I think they're keeping it alive. What I mean by
Their
it,
longevity too. Wow.
I think the it factor is you know, uh, they're just doing it for all the right reasons. Luckily, everybody loves them, and I mean, Grohl. The reason why people love Dave Grohl is because he's the everyman, and
Right. Right.
he's never lost sight. You know, he's never lost sight of um, just who exactly he is in the sense. That's why everybody likes him. He's a funny guy, you know. And really, I don't know if you noticed, but people who start to buy their own shit aren't funny. Or even if they were, then they buy their own hype. They become not funny anymore.
Mm.
Grohl still got a great sense of humor, and that's the telltale sign.
He's having fun. Fun.
Yeah,
He has having
fun.
fun doing what he loves, and he
Amen.
doesn't take it for granted.
Nope.
And I think that's really important too, is to remember that the scene is allowing you in it and embracing you in it. So you have to treat it like it's like you're honored to be involved, not like we are here and we're taking over, but like no, we are involved with this community and we're friends and we're seeing each other at festivals and
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Shit, 100%.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end it than that quote. I think that was a pretty good place to end this. PJ, dude, I can't tell you how honored I am to sit here and chat with you. And um, I think talking to individuals instead of like a band interview and talking about real things that affect us mentally. I think it's really important for everybody to hear these from people like you, to hear these stories. And yeah, these people are human just like us. And if they can do it, I can do it because we have way more in common than I ever thought. And that
Yeah.
inspires people to want to do this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you, putting this podcast together. And I'm glad you failed at one thing to make the one
Me
thing a
too.
success. Uh,
Yeah.
because it's a great, it's a great topic and great, platform. So, and look, this is how we connect with the people nowadays. So appreciate you letting
Yeah.
me tell my story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right,
I
Matt.
hope to see you in Connecticut
Yeah,
next
come on out. Let me
in
know.
June,
It's July
July.
24th, I think. Monroe, Connecticut.
Monroe. Oh, Monroe, Connecticut. Oh, yeah. That's just down the street from us.
There you
A
go.
little further, but that's how I see it. I love to travel. I'm always in Philly for shows. I go to Baltimore for shows,
There you go.
DC, Boston. I'm going all over the place. So nowhere's too far for me. Yeah, if I can make that, I would love to see you play live. I've never seen you live before.
Well, time's up, man. Let's do
Time's
it.
up. Time's
All right,
up.
man. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll keep in touch and hopefully I'll see you in a
Yeah,
couple months.
awesome,
Thank you for everything. I appreciate you.
man.